Well, right off the heels of their huge dev stream, I wanted to jump right into a discussion about the two new heroes that were announced in Ubisoft's For Honor dev stream, the Centurion and the Shinobi. Now, I haven't done a video like this in a while, but I'm so excited about the new characters and what they could potentially be. And I wanted to break down a little bit of what I feel those characters will play like, what type of player will probably gravitate towards those characters, and so on and so forth. Now, it won't be a super long video because there wasn't a ton of information given out, but it was a decent amount pertaining to those characters where we can try to start making some assessments as to what they'll be like, who, what type of play style that they will gravitate towards, or what type of people will gravitate towards their type of play style. So before we get started, I just want to thank you guys for clicking this video and watching it, and also get down in those comment boxes and let me know, are you team Shinobi or are you team Centurion? Now, I've been seeing a lot of love from the Centurion, but a lot of people also liking the Shinobi, and I actually think that when they come out, the Shinobi might be one of those characters that you just see a lot of and might just be, annoying as all fuck. But we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. Let's jump right into it. The Centurion. He is a warrior, a hero from the South. The Knights have recruited him from a long thought forgotten empire that is still down. They're still surviving, and they're going to these people. They need some help, and they send the Centurion. That is just a little bit of his backstory of why he is helping the Knights. Now, let's look at what Roman has said about the playstyle of the Centurion. So he said that he used such words as he'll be brutal, he'll have a lot of different moves that he can use at range and that he can use up close. And then he said all we need to know, and which is the basis for this whole discussion, which is that he will actually be a hybrid of a Vanguard and an Assassin. Now, off the bat, that sounds OP as fuck. That's what it sounds like to me when I hear it, because as you know, Vanguards are the easier characters to play with. They are considered basically the champions of each faction, whereas the other heroes are kind of like specialists in their own right. Now, he'll probably be a Vanguard who will take more skill to use, being that Assassins typically are harder to use and to master. So, but with this hybrid designation as a hybrid between a Vanguard and an Assassin, it'll be very interesting to see how he plays. I think he's going to be a very, very strong character. He's going to have the strength, and he's going to be able to take care of himself in the inside, and then he'll also have some moves at range. So nothing as powerful as maybe like a Nobushi's range, or as powerful as maybe a Kensei range, but I still think that he will be able to hold his own with certain range. He looks like he'll be able to move. He looks like he doesn't have a big shield or anything. And his short sword seems like it'll give him enough mobility to, as you can see in some of these clips, dive in maybe and do like maybe some jumping in moves to give him some starters and so on and so forth, akin to the Peacekeeper and stuff like that. So that's super exciting to hear, that a big strong character who has a little bit of mobility, and I'm thinking that that's kind of what his playstyle will be. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Gauntlet or Acestus and how we will use it, because yes, traditionally you have Centurions, they use the huge shield. Please forgive me for not knowing the actual term for it. I'm not, one of these big history buffs and stuff like that. I like watching it, but I don't retain the name of all this stuff. But they do typically have a shield and spear and the short sword, which also has a proper name for it. So forgive me for not giving you that right now. I'm just excited to get a video up and talk to you guys and get some feedback as far as what you think their play styles will be like, and who will you gravitate more towards because of said play style. So I think that being that he's going to be a mix between Vanguard and Assassin, I think that he'll have pretty decent defense, speaking of the Gauntlet, and he will see some moves, maybe some stunning moves with that. and maybe some moves where he'll be able to jump in, kind of like how you see the Raider. The Raider is probably the closest thing I think he will play as, but he'll have a lot more options. The reason why I say that is because the Raider is actually deceptively fast. A lot of people don't really think of him being a fast character, but he has a lot of quick pokes. A lot of his second moves, his second hits, and his chains actually come out extremely fast. And if you can initiate them, you can usually get some good hits in on people who are unsuspecting, or they think that they can block it. And even with the timing of the Raiders' hits. So I think he will play closely to the Raider, but have actually more options. And so I think that's awesome, because the Raider is fun as hell to play as. It's unfortunate that he is such a weak character as far as in competitive battles go. Now, if you're just playing for the fuck of it and having a good time, he is a great character to play, and he can really, really destroy you, because one or two of his top heavies, if you get caught with him, will pretty much kill every character in the game. And I think the Centurion will be somewhere in between there, but he'll have a little bit more tech, a little bit more things that he can probably use to either open people or start his combo. Like I said before, being able to jump and dive in, as you can see in the clip where he's kind of just jabbing the fuck out of somebody's chest right here. They're having a bad day, to say the least. So what do you all think about what the Centurion will play like? That's my opinion on that. And then let's go ahead and move right along to the Shinobi. Now, I believe the Shinobi, it will play. Now, let's start here. Let's start with some of the words that were mentioned. Some words that were mentioned was that he or she will have a lot of range, that they will be able to handle themselves up close, and they will have a huge move set. Now, those things are going to be key into learning what this character is going to be like. And I think that based on those terms, and if they are actually implemented in the way that the developers want to, the Shinobi could be a handful and prove to be the character that's used the most. So the Centurion, I think when the game is released, you're going to see a shit ton of Centurions. All of the season pass holders are probably going to be playing Centurion with a couple of Shinobi sprinkled in. And in time, you'll probably see a lot more Shinobis, simply because they're going to take longer to master, based on the comments mentioned by Roman in the dev stream. Now, what does that mean? That means that this might be a character that a lot of people have a hard time with, because he will be exceptionally well suited for long range, but he will also be exceptionally skilled when it comes to close range. Now, as far as the mid range and things like that, you know, really doesn't matter, because the game most characters really excel at either close to long range. But I think how they'll balance that out is, if you see in some of these clips, the Shinobi's he has to spin up that chain in order to get something going. Now, I don't know if that's just going to be a dead animation. I doubt it. I think it'll be similar to what you see from the Conqueror. So he might actually be a mix of maybe Conqueror and Nabushi, and maybe a tad bit of, I don't know, maybe a Peacekeeper or something, where you can get inside and get some quick cuts and jabs in with his Kasurigama, or his dual commas. I think it's a Kasurigama. Correct me if I'm wrong, because he has the chain connected to it, the weighted chain, but it's like a mixture of both. We'll see what the final what the final cut is, like eating up my words there. But we'll see what the final verdict is on that, how the weapon is. I don't know if the screens that we saw are going to be final. We do know sometimes developers and they change up visuals and stuff like that sometimes. So going back to Shinobi and his playstyle, he or she, her playstyle, because you will be able to choose the gender for the Shinobi. So I believe though that you will have something where it is a mix between maybe Nabushi with the range, and then also the Conqueror, when you talk about how you can queue up a really devastating heavy. When you see that Conqueror back there swinging that mace, man, he's swinging that you know, you better watch out, because once he comes around with it, it's gonna be a bad time for you. And I mean, that comes out pretty fast, deceptively fast for most of his moves. Now, another key thing that you might want to remember is that the Conqueror also cannot faint. He's the only character who cannot faint, but he might be getting a little brother in the Shinobi, because I don't believe the Shinobi will be able to faint with his moves because of the nature of his weapon and maybe his moveset. And then maybe some of his quicker moves, such as when he's in close, when he actually does close the distance between his opponent, some of those quicker moves you can't feint with the light. So his heavies you probably won't be able, so he might be another character that you won't be able to feint with, but it'll be, his heavies will come out really fast, kind of like the Conqueror's does, and they'll be able to close a lot of range, more range than what your Conqueror can also do. Now, we can also look at, we actually saw one of his moves. I don't know if this was a finishing move. I don't believe it was, but it could be. And there's one where you see him kind of throw the chain out. He does that little scorpion thing. And listen, he might get a shit ton of players based on that, because he's going to be like Scorpion. I see all the Get Over Here's coming. I see all the Scorpion videos already coming for the Shinobi. And guess what? I'm probably going to be one of those people making one of those videos, because Scorpion is one of my favorite characters of all time. I've been a gamer for a long time. When I first picked up Mortal Kombat, he was the first player that I mastered, him and Sub-Zero. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about For Honor today, and we're talking about our Shinobi, a.k.a. Scorpion Jr. So I think that he's going to be able to probably bring people in, pull him in, or pull himself in. As you can see in his clips, he's like running up a guy's head like it's a step, like it's some steps or some shit, and then he comes down and just you know fucks him over royally. I don't know what better way to put that. So I think those will be some of the main factors in these characters' play style. I want you guys to get in the comments below. Let me know, what do you think they'll play like? Who do you think they'll be a combination of? Of course, a Shinobi is considered, he will be considered an assassin. Now, I don't know if these things will change within the next 3 weeks or so, but as of now, this is what the developers have said, that he will be an assassin and that the Centurion will be a hybrid of the Vanguard and the Assassin. So let me know, are you team Shinobi, or are you team Centurion, or are you team I don't have 15,000 still to buy for these motherfuckers? It doesn't matter. Let me know, guys, what you think. Let's get this discussion started. Let's get this hype train moving. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Take care.